In the small, sleepy town of Willow Creek, the air was heavy with tension. Stories of the recent grisly murders dominated the local news, and fear was etched on the faces of the town's residents. While the police were working tirelessly to bring the killer to justice, they were no closer to identifying a suspect, and the body count continued to rise. Amidst the chaos, life went on. Beth, a single mother of two, did her best to maintain a sense of normalcy for her children, Emily and Max. She would walk them to school each day, ensuring their safety above all else. Beth's friends admired her resilience and the love she had for her children, who were her entire world. Little did they know, though, that beneath her loving exterior lay a dark secret, one that had remained hidden for years. Beth's life had been a difficult one. Abandoned by her mother at a young age, she had been shuffled through the foster system, exposed to a litany of abuse and neglect. She had eventually escaped that world, determined to create a better life for herself and her children. But the pain and trauma of her past had never truly left her, and it had twisted her mind in unimaginable ways. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting the town in an eerie orange glow, Beth tucked her children into bed, kissed their foreheads, and whispered, "Sleep tight, my loves." With that, she slipped out of their bedroom, her footsteps muffled by the thick carpet that lined the hallway. In the dim light of the living room, Beth retrieved a small, worn journal from beneath the floorboards. The pages were filled with her own frantic handwriting, documenting her transformation from a loving mother to a vengeful killer. The memories of her childhood torment had festered within her, driving her to seek out those who had caused her pain and make them pay for their sins. As she flipped through the journal, Beth paused at a recent entry, recounting her latest kill. It had been a man who had lived in her childhood home, a place that held nothing but misery and heartache. She had stalked him for days, learning his routine, before striking at the opportune moment. Her heart raced as she recalled the feeling of power and control, the blood pooling beneath her hands, the man's terrified gasps for air. It was intoxicating, and she craved more. Tonight, Beth had a new target. Through her meticulous research, she had discovered that one of her former foster parents lived only a few blocks away. She couldn't believe her luck. This was the very man who had inflicted unspeakable pain upon her as a child. Her need for retribution was overwhelming, and she knew that she couldn't let this opportunity slip through her fingers. Beth dressed in all black, her movements swift and silent. She picked up her kit, filled with her weapons of choice, a knife, a rope, and a small pistol, and stepped out into the darkness, leaving her children sleeping soundly, unaware of their mother's sinister double life. As she neared her target's home, Beth could feel her pulse quicken, the anticipation building within her. She knew that this kill would be the most satisfying yet, and she reveled in the thought of delivering her own brand of justice. She approached the house, carefully avoiding the pools of light cast by the street lamps, and slipped through the back door, which she had already unlocked earlier in the day. Inside, the house was eerily quiet, save for the steady ticking of a clock in the living room. Beth's target, the man who had tormented her as a child, was asleep in his bed, completely unaware of the retribution that awaited him. Beth moved stealthily through the shadows, her footsteps silent as she ascended the stairs. She could see the faint glow of a nightlight seeping through the crack beneath the bedroom door, beckoning her to proceed. As she pushed the door open, a wave of memories washed over her, intensifying the desire for vengeance that burned within her. The room was filled with the familiar scent of stale cigarettes and whiskey, a nauseating reminder of her past. She approached the bed, her eyes fixed on the sleeping figure of her former tormentor. With a cold, calculated precision, Beth slipped the rope around the man's neck, pulling it tight before he could react. His eyes snapped open, filled with terror as he struggled to breathe. Beth leaned in close, her voice a menacing whisper. "Do you remember me?" she asked. "The little girl you hurt all those years ago?" The man's eyes widened in recognition, and he began to choke out a desperate plea for mercy. But Beth's heart was made of stone, and she had no intention of granting him any reprieve. "This is for all the pain you caused me," she hissed, pulling the rope tighter, her knuckles white with the effort. As the man's life slipped away, a twisted smile played on Beth's lips. She reveled in the power she held over him, knowing that she was finally taking control of her own fate. And with that final thought, she watched as the light faded from his eyes, leaving him lifeless and cold. Breathing heavily, she released the rope and stepped back, surveying the scene before her. The satisfaction of her vengeance was intoxicating, but she knew that she needed to leave before anyone discovered what she had done. She wiped down any surface she might have touched and slipped back out into the night, her heart pounding in her chest. As Beth approached her own home, she couldn't help but feel a sense of relief, knowing that one more monster had been removed from the world. She carefully stashed her kit back beneath the floorboards and changed into her pajamas, her dark secret once again hidden from the world. Climbing into bed, she couldn't help but think of her children sleeping peacefully down the hall, unaware of the darkness that had consumed their mother's soul. She knew that her actions had been born of her own pain and suffering, but she couldn't help but wonder if the cycle would ever truly be broken. And as she drifted off to sleep, Beth's dreams were haunted by the ghosts of her past, a constant reminder that the line between hero and villain was often far more blurred than it seemed.